This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete Haynes online manual at haynes.com.
Chock the rear wheels of the car and firmly apply the handbrake. Remove the wheel trim centre cap, then slacken the driveshaft nut with the car resting on its wheels. Also slacken the wheel bolts. Jack up the front of the car and support it on axle stands. Remove the appropriate road wheel. Remove the engine undershield. Drain the transmission fluid. Locate the drain plug at the bottom of the gearbox. Remove all traces of dirt from around the drain and filler/level plugs. Place a suitable container underneath the drain plug to catch the used gearbox fluid. Remove the plug with the appropriate size square drive and allow the fluid to be drained completely. If the oil is hot, take precautions against scalding. When the oil has finished draining, clean the drain plug threads and those of the gearbox casing. Fit a new seal to the drain plug. Fit the drain plug and tighten it to 24 Newton meters. Slacken the nuts securing the steering gear track rod end ball joint to the swivel hub. Use a Torx key to counterhold the ball joint taper. Leave the nut attached by just a few threads. Release the ball joint tapered shank using a universal ball joint separator, and then unscrew the nuts completely and separate the joint. Before removing the strut to swivel hub nut/bolts, ensure the driveshaft is free to move in the hub. Apply penetrating fluid and then, using a copper-headed hammer, drive the shaft into the hub. Fit the old driveshaft hub nut if there is any chance of damaging the threads on the driveshaft. Unclip the brake hose and the ABS wiring from the strut assembly, and then remove the bracket. Unscrew the upper nut from the anti-roll bar drop link using an Allen key if necessary to prevent the ball joint stud turning as this is done. Unscrew the nuts from the base of the strut, noting which way round they are fitted. Hold the bolts with a spanner to prevent them from turning while unscrewing the nuts. Discard the nuts as they must be replaced. Tap the bolts out with a soft-faced hammer after the nuts have been removed. Separate the hub carrier from the strut. The splined end of the driveshaft now has to be fully released from its location in the hub. Pull the disc/hub outwards and turn it to allow the driveshaft to be withdrawn through the hub. It's helpful to have an assistant on hand here to pull the hub outwards while you slide out the driveshaft. Note, once the left-hand driveshaft has been removed from the hub, there is nothing to prevent it dropping out of the transmission, so be prepared to catch it. If working on the right-hand driveshaft, unscrew the bolt securing the driveshaft collar to the support bearing on the back of the engine. On some models, a single bolt is fitted and the bracket pivots away. Other models have two bolts and a separate bracket. Discard the bolt or bolts, new ones must be fitted. Pull the driveshaft out of the transmission and remove it, ensuring that neither of the CV joints is bent excessively during the procedure. Also take care that the joint gaiters do not suffer unnecessary damage during removal. On the right-hand driveshaft, recover the support bearing collar. Check the oil seal in the transmission case to ensure it is not damaged. If it shows any signs of damage, replace it. Clean and grease the driveshaft support bearing and apply little oil to the driveshaft oil seals and splines. Offer the driveshaft into position and insert the splines into the transmission. Be careful not to damage the oil seal. Refit the support bearing collar over the driveshaft support bearing using a new bolt or bolts. Tighten the new bolt or bolts to 21 Newton meters. Clean the splines on the outer end of the driveshaft and apply a suitable anti-seize compound. Insert the outer end of the driveshaft splines fully into the hub. Refit a new driveshaft nut and tighten it as fully as possible by hand initially. Delay tightening to the specified torque until the car is resting back on its wheels. Refit the steering gear track rod end ball joint to the swivel hub using a new nut. Tighten the new nut to 37 Newton meters. Refit the hub carrier to the strut and tap the lower bolts into place. Using new nuts, screw the nuts onto the bolts and then tighten them to 180 Newton meters. Refit the anti-roll bar drop link to the strut. Tighten the nut to 44 Newton meters. Refit the bracket securing the brake hose and ABS wiring and tighten the nut securely. Secure the brake hose and the ABS wiring to the bracket. Refit the engine undershield. Refit the road wheel. Lower the car to the ground. With the car on the ground, tighten the new driveshaft nut to 280 Newton meters. Refit the wheel trim centre cap and tighten the road wheel bolts to 110 Newton meters. Refill the transmission fluid. Locate the plastic filler stroke level plug and clean the area around it before removal. Unscrew and remove the plug. This could be very tight. Check the condition of the filler plug seal and obtain a new one if necessary. Add fluid using the specified type of lubricant until the gearbox oil level is correct. Access to the filler plug on the 6-speed gearbox is limited. We used a large syringe and a length of tubing. Fill the gearbox until oil starts to flow out and allow excess oil to drain out completely. The oil level should be up to the lower edge of the filler stroke level plug aperture. Once the oil level is correct, refit the filler stroke level plug and tighten it securely by hand only. Note that frequent need for topping up indicates a leak, possibly through an oil seal. The cause should be investigated and rectified.